And welcome to another episode of South Texas Crossfire. If you're just joining us, we're bringing on a great man, good friend of mine for many, many years, 15 years, we go way back, and that is Robert J. Heil. Now, Mr. Heil handles expungements, handles non-disclosures if you have a criminal record. Although nothing's guaranteed, every effort is made to get those expunged. So we're going to be talking about and educating the public on which ones are expungible and which aren't. Welcome, Robert. How are you?
Doing very well, Joe. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, man, we go way back for South Texas College of Law, man.
That's right. We had some good days, and now we're doing some good in the community. So it's good to be here. Thank you, Joe.
I appreciate you coming on, and let's jump in feet first. We're talking about people's records. It's so important now, especially in the age of the computer.
Right.
You can run, but you can't hide. Everybody's practically chipped, you know. I mean, everybody knows what's going on. So tell us a little bit about what you do on these expungements and deferred adjudication, what that is, etc.
Sure. Well, it's a very important area. Basically, you get a lot of calls from people who are looking to get their records cleared up. For example, you've got people who are working out in the oil field industry or working in the refineries who need a TWIC card. In order to get that, in order to get approved through the governmental barriers and things like that, sometimes they need the ability to get their records cleared up. So my firm specializes in those types of things, and we've been successful in various efforts. And basically what we can do is get your record cleared based on your criminal history if your case has been either dismissed or you've successfully completed a deferred adjudication.
And now, what is deferred adjudication?
Deferred is it's a special kind of deal that you can get on your case where if you comply with all the terms that the prosecutor and the state and the government have laid out, at the end of that, if you've successfully completed your probation, then the case is actually dismissed. One thing that's interesting is that a lot of people don't realize is that once your case is dismissed, the arrest records, all of that information is still there and still available for potential employers to see, for colleges to see. And so even though your case has been dismissed, all the records are still there, which could hold you back in terms of jobs, things like that.
Wait a minute. So this is a very important point. Ladies and gentlemen out there that have had this, so in other words, not only is their lawyer having to educate them on this, and many fail to do it, but the DA that offers the deferred adjudication is failing to tell them that when they go seek a job, when they run it, it's still going to come out.
In the past they have, and I've attended some continuing legal educations where now the current district attorney, Mark Skirka, is actually providing that information to them. So I think at
Way
this
to go,
point,
Mark.
Yeah, I think he's doing a very good job about educating them. And if I'm not mistaken, he presented some information at the last continuing legal education seminar where they're trying to give that information to people who are placed on deferred as part of their probation so that when they complete, they have that information, they know what they're eligible for, whether that's a deferred adjudication, they could get an expunction or an order of non-disclosure.
Let's use an example, a felony domestic violence,
Right.
or a felony theft. They're placed on deferred adjudication for 5 or 10 years, okay?
Right.
They successfully complete it. What's the next step so it doesn't show up on their record? Employers that run a background check, it doesn't show up.
Yeah, well, it helps to know what type of offense you've got, and most of these laws are contained in the Code of Criminal Procedure, Chapter 55, or the Texas Government Code. The Code of Criminal Procedure controls all the expunction part of the law, and the orders of non-disclosure, which would be the ones that apply on the deferred adjudication types of cases, those are in the Government Code. So the scenario you're talking about would be a case where somebody finishes a deferred, wants to get their record cleared up. Once they've successfully completed and have gotten that order of dismissal, then they can apply to get that record basically non-disclosed. And those types of cases you're talking about with the thefts, with the assaults, these types of things, those would be good situations where their records could be sealed.
Okay, and once you do that, but it takes a separate hearing. It's
Right.
not automatic. In other words, when you get a deferred adjudication deal where they're saying if you successfully complete it, quote unquote, it comes off your record, that's not true.
Right. Just because the case is finished and you've completed the deferred doesn't mean that it's off your record. You've got to take that additional step to actually file the order of non-disclosure, get the notices sent out to all the law enforcement agencies, to the jail, to the prosecutor, to all the people who have the files or information about your record, and set it for hearing. Only after that judge signs the order can your records be sealed at that point. So you've got to take that extra step, and that's what we're trying to educate people about so that they know unless you do that, all those arrest records will still be there. Your employer, your college, any board that's trying to get you certified for higher professional degrees, they're going to be able to access and see this information, which could stop you from getting a job, stop you from going to college, stop you from getting advanced in your life in a positive direction.
Well, and this is very, very important. They can reach you now. You're on Facebook,
right?
And that's at the Heil Law Firm has its own Facebook page.
Yeah, we have a Facebook page there for the Heil Law Firm. The best way to contact us is we're available by phone. We've got a hotline, 356-1277. If the best way to reach us is usually through the phone. If you want to go, all the information for our office is on the Facebook site, and we'll be happy to give a free consultation, discuss your options. Every case is unique, so you've got to look at each case by whether or not the case was just dismissed or if you were put on a community supervision, because that determines whether you're going to be eligible for an expunction or a non-disclosure. Either way, whether your case was just dismissed or whether you were deferred or whether or not you completed successfully, there's options, but you've got to look at a case-by-case basis.
Well, and the magic number is 356-1277, area code here in Corpus 361.
Right.
So again, it's 361-356-1277 is the number to call. We've got a couple of minutes left. We're talking about I know that you also handle employment law, because I think they go hand in hand.
Right.
And on the employment law and this, how do they tie in together?
Well, one of my primary areas of practice is employment law, and a lot of people ask, what is that? Most of the cases that we handle involve cases where people are wrongfully terminated, they've been fired from their jobs, and there's some underlying or there's some reason why they were fired that relates to discrimination. So on those types of cases, we're helping people who have been fired, who are looking to either try to get their jobs back or to try to get compensation for having been wrongfully fired. And what we do is we assist them through the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission process, which is what you got to go through first before you can even file a lawsuit. So we'll assist them in that administrative part to work with the EEO to see if a resolution can be achieved. And if at the end of that process they're issued a right to sue letter, we can sometimes help them to file a lawsuit and to pursue their claim going forward for being wrongfully terminated.
And sometimes, because the employers, what's the magic number, 15?
Yeah.
If there's less than 15 employees
Right.
at some place, are they dead in the water if they were sexually harassed?
It's not covered by the EEOC if they have less than 15 employees. So you're looking for companies that have greater than 15 employees. But even if there's been a discrimination or wrongful termination issue, you can look at it. It's just that the EEOC may not be involved in those cases.
Well, you can still sue, though.
Right. So you still have options if you're in an employer that's smaller than 15, but the EEO usually only has jurisdiction to handle greater than 15.
So I got it. So the magic number again is 356-1277.
Correct.
Robert J. Heil at hotmail.com to reach your cell phone. Robert J. Heil, H-E-I-L, at hotmail.com or
Right.
356-1277.
That's it. And to tie it into what you were saying, basically on the employment side, we're working either to help people who have been wrongfully terminated, who have been fired, and we're helping people to be able to get jobs. And that's where I think you see the connection between the expunctions and non-disclosures. On one side, we're trying to make right what's happened if you've been fired. The other side, we're trying to help people to get in, funnel into jobs, to colleges, so that they don't have their criminal records holding them back from their full potential.
Well, and now employers can call you up too. Let's turn it on its head.
Right.
Employers that are running these background checks and say, I don't want to run outside the law, and say, let me call up Mr. Heil to ask about at 356-1277. The employer can call you and ask, hey, this guy was on deferred and I want to hire him for my home health. Can I hire him?
Right. You can do that. We work with employers for all types of questions. Generally, the area that we're focused on is employment law. So if any companies, any individuals have questions about that, we're happy to assist them on whatever they may have.
Robert J. Heil, attorney at law, 356-1277. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've had a criminal arrest record, or you've had a criminal record and been placed on deferred adjudication, this is not applying to final convictions, but you can even ask him about those. 356-1277. Or you have an employment law question, pick up that phone now. 361-356-1277. Robert J. Heil at hotmail.com and on Facebook. Thanks again, Robert.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you having me today.